Imagine a land where vast rainforests stretch to the horizon, where mist rolls over a mighty river pulsing with life at dawn. This magnificent landscape isn't disconnected from your world. The phone you're holding right now likely began its journey deep beneath the red soil of this very place. The materials hidden underground here are the beating heart of our devices and global supply chains. The modern world depends heavily on this land. Yet this glowing presence on the global economic map creates a harsh paradox. Powering the world doesn't mean every home here has electricity when night falls. Access to the power grid remains painfully low, a stark contrast between billions of glowing screens worldwide and the flickering firelight of local kitchens. The place we are looking at is the Democratic Republic of Congo, a massive country embraced by a vast river system and ancient forests, far beyond the flat stereotypes of conflict and resources. In a land so rich that the rest of the world depends on it, why is everyday life still so full of hardship? And how does this nation keep moving forward when roads, power grids, and formal jobs haven't kept pace with its people? We aren't going to look at what the world takes from Congo. We're going to look at what the people here hold on to: family networks, daily work, shared meals, and hope for the future. But to truly understand life here, we first have to face the one thing that dictates almost every journey: distance. Looking down from above, the Democratic Republic of Congo isn't a single uniform world. It's a patchwork of countless distinct spaces. Endless rainforests fill the central basin, alongside churning river systems, densely packed cities, and hard-worked stretches of farmland. To the south lies a bustling mining belt. To the east, massive lakes and towering mountain ranges. There is no single definition of life here. Every region has its own rhythm, its own way to make a living, and its own entirely different set of hardships. Flowing through all this diversity, the Great Congo River is more than a natural wonder. It is the operating system for the entire country. Its waters carry people, move goods, and provide fish, often the only lifeline connecting bustling markets to remote farming areas. Out on the water, tiny wooden boats and giant barges crowd together. Sacks of produce, motorcycles, and hundreds of passengers are packed into a single journey. But it's a risky system, constantly threatened by floods, harsh weather, and the immense strain of overloaded voyages. To understand why a single river carries the weight of so many lives, we have to look into history. During the colonial era, many transport routes weren't built to connect communities. They were designed to pull raw materials from deep inland out to commercial hubs for export. After independence, the lingering effects of conflict, along with a severe lack of investment and maintenance, slowly caused the road, rail, and waterway networks to crumble. This breakdown turned distance into an invisible burden. It doesn't just isolate people, it adds to the cost of a meal, lengthens the trip to the hospital, makes school harder to reach, and eats away at the chance of finding a job. And every morning, those distances begin to reveal themselves in the smallest actions of daily life. Dawn in Kinshasa doesn't begin with streaks of light, but with sound. The hum of generators, revving engines, hurried shouts, and the clatter of vendors setting up shop tear through the darkness. A laborer leaves a crowded, suffocating neighborhood to start the day, squeezing into minibuses or clinging to shared taxis, moving meter by meter through gridlocked traffic, carrying the heavy goods they need to make a living. The city isn't just vibrant, it is straining to function. In a riverside community, the morning rhythm takes a completely different form. While mist still hangs over the water, the first kitchen fires are lit, and water for the day is collected from boreholes or public taps. Farming tools come out, wooden canoes push off from the banks, and children getting ready for school blend with the sound of pestles pounding cassava leaves. This is only one example. Not every village lives the same way, but this rhythm is present everywhere. Hidden behind both scenes is a massive amount of labor that is rarely fully seen. The burden often falls on women, older children, and members of the extended family. Their mornings are never about one task. They care for young children, fetch water, prepare meals, carry goods to market, tend the fields, and scramble to find transport, all at once. There is nothing romantic about this struggle. We are forced to ask, how much human time and energy is drained just to meet the most basic needs? Kinshasa rushes to the clock, the traffic, and prices. The countryside lives by daylight, the seasons, water sources, and market access. Yet both face the exact same pressure. How do you turn the morning's hard work into enough money or food for the evening? The answer usually begins at the loudest, closest, most important place in the community, the market. Follow a batch of dried fish to see how it reaches the market. Before resting on a bustling stall, the fish are caught, cleaned, dried, and packed. They rock on boats, transfer to overloaded cargo motorcycles struggling through bumpy dirt roads, and pass through the hands of multiple middlemen before they arrive. The final price isn't just the value of the fish. It's the cost of distance, time, fuel, and the risk of spoilage along the way. Every item here carries the weight of a fragmented infrastructure. Behind those stalls, women carry an entire microeconomy on their shoulders. Long before dawn, they prepare goods, scramble to find transport, and set up their displays. All day, they negotiate prices, count every bit of small change, protect their capital, or let regular customers buy on credit. Late in the afternoon, they buy food and head home carrying their exhaustion. Women regularly shoulder both income-earning labor and unpaid family care at once. So we have to ask, is this resourcefulness a sign of empowerment or the price of one person supporting too many systems? In many markets, this space reaches far beyond buying and selling. It acts as a bank, a news network, and a support platform where people find customers, exchange breaking news, catch price shifts, or track down transport for tomorrow. In some communities, vendors borrow small amounts from each other to rotate capital, or ask a neighbor to watch their children during a busy sale. The market connects producers and consumers, and at the same time, it is the invisible infrastructure that helps people stand on their own when public services and safety nets are missing. At the end of the day, these small earnings rarely belong to one person. The money is immediately split to maintain a survival network: food, a jerry can of clean water, transport fares, electricity, or cooking fuel. More is scraped together for medicine and school fees and shared to support relatives. Income flows straight into a massive web of family obligation. But what appears on the market stalls began its journey long before the city ever woke up. That journey begins with a hard-fought grip on land and water. In a rural community, farmers clear the ground to plant cassava, maize, or plantains. They weed by hand, watch for the tropical rains, and wait patiently for harvest day. On a remote river branch, fishermen prepare their nets and push their canoes off the bank. They spend hours fishing, then preserve the catch by drying or smoking it. Both livelihoods demand intense labor and depend entirely on the weather. The fruits of this labor are always split in two. One portion of the crops and fish feeds the family. Only the small surplus is sold. To get cash, productivity isn't the only barrier. Many households are trapped by a lack of roads, storage, and transport. They face high shipping costs, depend on middlemen, and rarely know the real market price. And the money from these sales becomes their only resource for the essential needs they cannot produce themselves. When the ingredients finally reach the kitchen, another cycle of resilience begins. The cassava leaf dish isn't just a local specialty. It is the culmination of a long process. The leaves are harvested from the fields, sold at the market, pounded with heavy wooden pestles, then simmered with palm oil, onions, and a few pieces of dried fish over a charcoal stove. That single meal holds the sweat of the farmer, the feet of the transporter, the bargaining at the market, hours of cooking, and the family's careful budgeting for spices. Dinner is the convergence of the entire day's labor. As darkness closes in, the family gathers like a ritual. Workers return home, children share stories from school, and the little money just earned is already budgeted for tomorrow. Any guest or relative who drops by is given a portion of the food. This solidarity is more than a romantic ideal. It reflects a stark reality. In the absence of public services, the family must carry the full weight of social security. For that meal to reach the table, goods must overcome a challenge that mobile money simply cannot solve: moving across a massive country. Watch a barge cutting through the waves on the Congo River, and you see the pulse of domestic trade. The vessel doesn't just carry passengers. It shoulders tons of produce, materials, and endless bundles of livelihood. Cooking and sleeping spaces are pushed to the limit between sacks of cargo. The boat plods along, stopping at riverside docks where tiny canoes approach to trade right on the water. How long the trip takes depends on the currents, the rainy season, and safety. On land, movement is often even more brutal. When the rainy season pours down, dirt roads turn into fields of thick mud. Trucks get stuck, engines roaring in desperation. Only a motorcycle squeezing through a narrow path, or people moving goods by bicycle and on foot, can keep the journey alive. The rains cut communities off from one another, and the consequences hit immediately. Food arrives late, crops spoil, prices soar. The sick struggle to reach clinics, and teachers and students are left helpless against the mud. Amid the gridlock of physical infrastructure, mobile phones and mobile money offer a way out. At an agent's stall, cash is deposited, turned into digital numbers, and sent through the air to relatives. School fees, medical bills, or family support arrive instantly. Yet this invisible system has its limits. Patchy signals, phones dying with no electricity to charge them, high fees, or agents running out of cash. The irony is sharp. Money can cross the country in seconds, but a sack of food, a patient, or a student can still take hours or days to make the same journey. The river works tirelessly to link distant lands. The phone connects those who are far apart. But what makes them feel they belong to the same community lies in language, music, stories passed down, and rituals repeated every single day. A vast nation needs more than roads to connect places. It needs culture to connect people. The cohesion of a vast country is measured not just in kilometers of road, but in the interwoven threads of its languages. French holds official status in government and education, but everyday life flows through Lingala, Swahili, Kikongo, and Chiluba, alongside hundreds of local dialects. Language is more than a tool. It is a vessel for ancestral memory, defining communities, and building a powerful sense of belonging. Each language offers a unique worldview, an inseparable piece of the national identity. And when it comes to identity, Congolese rumba is far from just music. It is the heartbeat of life. From neighborhood bars to weddings, celebrations, and radio airwaves, it blends into the people's very breath. Rumba tells stories of love, of city struggles, and of social hardship, and today's youth keep transforming it, blending in modern influences to keep the genre alive. Inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2021, Rumba has become the thread connecting millions of people across generations. Alongside music, the family is where these values are preserved. Multiple generations keep tight bonds, supporting one another through constant change. The family is more than a home. It provides childcare, teaches language, keeps histories alive, and serves as a safety net whenever a member faces unemployment or hardship. Rituals, funerals, and weddings are not just gatherings, but ways to reaffirm presence and community ties. Yet we must be realistic. Culture builds solidarity, but it cannot fix physical shortages on its own. No matter how immense spiritual strength is, it must go hand in hand with real-world needs. Today's young Congolese still need schools, jobs, power grids, connected infrastructure, and broader opportunities. They stand between two currents, where heritage meets the question of what tools they will carry into an unshaped future. Every morning, the streets fill with children and teenagers in neat uniforms on their way to school. Whether through busy urban streets, along dirt paths, or in small rocking boats, every step carries high expectations. Parents, despite endless hardship, save for every bit of tuition, books, and transport. For them, education is more than knowledge. It is the only promise of a path out of precarious labor, a key to formal jobs and future support for the family. But classroom realities are rarely ideal, often marked by overcrowding and limited facilities. Yet, a diploma is no guarantee of a stable job. According to the World Bank, the labor market in the Democratic Republic of Congo is highly informal and has not created enough productive jobs for its rapidly growing youth workforce. So many young graduates face a harsh reality: unemployment, or getting by in the informal economy. They drive motorcycle taxis, hawk goods on the street, start micro-businesses, or do manual labor. This is not failure or laziness, but a creative survival strategy, leveraging phones and social media, searching for every single customer to keep an income alive. Standing in this current, young Congolese must choose between precarious paths. Some stay in their hometowns, accepting fewer opportunities, but staying close to family. Others flock to the big cities, where the cost of living is high, but the hope of a chance is greater. Many long to go abroad or move to another region to change their lives. Yet whichever path they choose, they still carry the heavy duty of sending money home, tying their lives to the survival of their loved ones. In North Kivu, South Kivu, and Ituri especially, the future is further overshadowed by violence. UNICEF data from 2025 shows that more than 1.6 million children in these areas have had their education disrupted by escalating conflict. For them, the future is not just an economic puzzle, but a battle to claim the right to learn and grow. These dreams are shaped not only inside the classroom, but pulled down by the weight of what lies deep underground and the violent shifts on the surface. Return to the phone we placed at the center of this story from the very first seconds. Inside its battery lies the journey of cobalt and copper, strategic minerals for which the Democratic Republic of Congo plays a central role in the global supply chain. According to the USGS, the country accounted for about 73% of the world's mined cobalt production in 2022. But mining here is a multifaceted picture, from large-scale industrial operations to artisanal small-scale digging. Grouping it all into one narrative is a mistake. Every mine and every locality carries entirely different conditions and impacts. Yet resources underground do not automatically become quality of life on the surface. Congo's greatest paradox is that its mineral wealth sits beside a weak power grid. World Bank data shows the population's access to electricity stood at only about 22.1% in 2023. It raises a troubling question. Is a nation truly wealthy when the resources in its ground hold high market value? Or when the people above can reach electricity, healthcare, and schools? No single actor is to blame for this paradox, and no simple solution can lift the infrastructural burden that millions carry every day. In the east, across North Kivu, South Kivu, and Ituri, this picture is further complicated by violence. This is not the reality for the entire country, but here, instability has severely disrupted daily life. The same escalating violence that keeps those 1.6 million children out of school leaves abandoned farmland, markets cut off from supplies, and overwhelmed clinics, not faceless statistics, but the upended lives of countless families. Alongside this is the pressure on the Congo forest, an ecosystem holding about 60% of the Congo Basin rainforest within the country's borders. Tens of millions of people rely on it for food, medicine, and livelihoods. The world demands conservation to regulate the global climate, while the people here need the forest to survive day by day. It's a conflict that needs fair recognition. Conservation cannot be separated from the survival of local communities facing pressure from agriculture, charcoal, and uncontrolled expansion. The world often looks at Congo and sees only resources. The people here are forced to look at the same land and find a way to build a tomorrow amid the uncertainty. As darkness falls, the Congo River keeps flowing tirelessly, as it has since the beginning of time. Vessels quietly cut through the waves. Markets close down. Workers return to their porches, and charcoal stoves are lit in the quiet. At this hour, the river is more than a geographic landscape. It is the most powerful testament to how this country keeps moving, regardless of every infrastructural limit. If our ultimate question is, why do people stay? The answer can never be the single word resilience. Resilience, though deeply admirable, is not a voluntary choice, but a survival reflex against a flawed system. They stay for the unbreakable bonds of family, out of duty to the generations before them, and for the hope placed in those to come. They stay for the belonging found in their language, the rituals of their community, and because this land, with all its hardship, remains the only place they have a real support network. Some choose to stay and build. Some are forced to hold on because they've found no way out. And some have left, but still long for the day they can return. The world usually remembers Congo for what can be extracted, the mineral statistics, and the headlines of instability. But the strength that keeps this nation alive lies in values hard to measure with machines. A family pooling their income to cover school fees, a woman opening her stall before dawn, boats navigating floodwaters, or simply a meal shared in a warm kitchen. In the end, resilience cannot replace roads, power grids, schools, or healthcare. The future of Congo does not depend on endless endurance, but on whether the wealth of this land is truly transformed into a dignified life for the very people who call it home. I hope you'll keep journeying with us as we look deeper into the lands where human life is so often hidden behind stereotypes and resource maps.